What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. Hope you guys are ready to go. But we got Amy in the house. Good morning to you. We got Andy. Good morning to you. Good morning to Bill. Brian. Dan is in the house. Good morning to Daniel Dragon. Did I say that correct? Good morning to you. We got Jeff John. John is in the house. Good morning to Kevin, Lauren, Lou, Lydia. Marius is in the house. Martina, Mike, Peter, Rock. We got Tim in the house. Good morning to you. All coming in real bright and early. I love it. We got out in YouTube land. Good morning to Daniel, Ben, Levy. Good morning to you. We got Bijal, Dana, Ray. All my lurkers in the background on YouTube that just not gonna say nothing all day. It's okay. I still love you. Hit that like and subscribe button. But let's pull up the spy. Let's figure out where we are currently sitting in this crazy, crazy market. Let me get this one back on. There we go. There we go. Nice little gap and go for the day. Nice little gap and go. Is it enough? It's a start. Like we said yesterday, so the candle from 2 days ago, this Monday candle, was a gap and go. This could lead to bigger things, bigger pullbacks, but for now, we're looking for somewhere around 619.80 to hold. We built in a level slightly higher than that, which is 620.16. So watch that level. We're starting to increase those VPOCs, which means we're starting to get a little bit of bulls still at least hanging around, still trying to bring this market up. You have a gap and go for today, so a little extra edge to the bulls, maybe trapping some of the bears kind of hanging out there. And we'll see. Still inside day, so if we do sell off, let's see if that 620.73 wants to hold for today. Otherwise, targets to the bigger side, we got a couple psychological levels before the big one, which I would think somewhere around this 623.33. I'd at least see some hesitation. I think we can take that out. And then probably looking at like 623.94, your next pretty big level. After that, I've got really nothing up until 625.63. That's the real level I'd be looking for. But let's see if we get a little bit of, even though it's a gap and go, maybe we get a little pullback today. Something, one candle, two candles. And as long as we look to hold that 620.73 zone, I think we're in good shape. Again, the longer we hang out here and the more we just chop around as day traders, probably going to be a little frustrating. But in a longer term picture, we're still pretty far extended from that 20 EMA. So the longer we hang out there, we let some of these moving averages start to catch up a little bit. I mean, the 200 EMA I have all the way down at 574 still, 574.79. So we're a ways away from some of those moving averages, but two ways to correct it, and I'd rather see the more frustrating one for day traders, I think, which is we just kind of hang out here, let these things kind of curl up. Otherwise, we get more of a retest. It looks a little like this. We'll see how we want to play, but just kind of consolidating it now. But decent, decent little extra bullish edge today in the markets. We got Qs looking quite the same, so nice little gap up for today. Again, Q's a little bit more impressive than the SPY. We're already doing some of the hard labor when the market's closed. You got gap and go from yesterday, technically a gap and go from Monday's candle as well. Still inside of both, so that's going to be the challenge for today. Inside candles, oftentimes they will kind of pull back. Look for some kind of support at 552.60. If we get any mini flash crashes today, we'll see if we can hold those levels. Otherwise, yeah, I would say gap and above 2 days entries at least. Pretty decently. A little bit of extra edge to the bulls, and then we got targets up to 556.53. Again, same thing. Those moving averages still a little bit far away, but we'll see if we could kind of maintain this zone, or if we want to break out and be like, hey, it's 2025, big beautiful bill, lots of extra money floating around in the market. That would all make sense. Here's one that is down a little bit. Oh, even this one kind of recovered. This one was down a little bit this morning, TLT. But TLT was a retest gap from yesterday. Interesting spot for today. I would have looked at some kind of resistance. We'll see where this one wants to open. But you have about 86.10. That is where the real resistance should be. We're kind of sitting right at it or under it. We'll see where this one wants to open. But This is a little bit of a retest from yesterday too. So bonds still not really in full on recovery mode. Obviously, that's going to lead to a little concern, but I think that has to do more around the rates. And the market rallied. Trump was talking for, I don't know, 2, 3 hours yesterday during that meeting, and it was like an odd moment where the market shot up. I don't know if anybody watched the interview, but there was a certain point, and it was after I got off the mic, so it was probably in like the 12:30 range, somewhere around there. He looked at Bassett and he says, "I like you," and that was it. And then the market started to put a nice little big green candle in off of that comment. So maybe market kind of foreshadowing a little bit of Bassett might take over for Jerome Powell at some point. Bassett being a pretty dovish kind of guy, that might be beneficial for rates. So we'll see that. But he didn't say much. There was no other content, no other anything related to it. It was just that look says I like you, and then the stocks, the entire SPY started to get a pretty big candle in there. Bitcoin, pretty good day yesterday. So we opened right at a support resistance. We held the higher side of it, which is pretty fantastic. We got past that first resistance, which is 109,504. We closed almost right at this 109,810 zone. Or actually, this is the live candle still, so we're doing all the work today. Uh, we're right into that resistance now. If we can get a little bit higher, start breaking this 109,810. Next mini spot I got 110.86. We've been there before, but I'd still consider that as a decent level. Not too strong, I don't think. I think your next bigger level on Bitcoin is 111,280 if we get through this one little spot on this chart. Got a lot of tickers coming in already. Let's take a look. We got SoundHound. It's been a monster recently. I've got time frames, 15-minute bull, 60-minute bull, smaller time frames. As of yesterday, we're selling, but that was into the close. My guess is at open, those two also flip bullish. Um, it is an inside day candle, technically a retest candle. Let's actually dive into the 15 on this one. 15-minute chart. I want to know where that selling actually came in. So big bullish candle out of the gate. That looks good. A little bit of a pullback. So some of that selling is at the end of the day. We're kind of gapping up above a decent point. We might be able to. I don't know if we're gonna. I don't know how many people we're gonna squeeze on this one. If we get a pullback, let's see if we get down into. I would think that a good resistance on this one, which we did break out of yesterday, we just couldn't hold it. But now that we're above it, let's see if that 1326 wants to hold. You do still have a lot of room on SoundHound. I think the next real target probably takes you to this 1387. So from even open, that's about 50 cents, 51 cents. That's not bad for a $13 stock. But if we get a tad lower, get quite a little bit better risk to reward. Again, most of that selling, most of that wick is coming from the end of the day. We are gapping up above it, gapping above even that first opening candle. Could be a runner. Could be a runner. I'll look for either a high wave candle on this one, or especially if we could pull back to that, if we could get some kind of hammer or high wave around 1326, 1327. That would be better. If we drop past that spot, then maybe we get that full on retrace, which would take us back to like 1284. I don't know. It doesn't look like it wants to really give back anything at this point. So I'd remain a little bit more to the bullish side on that one, just trying to figure out how to get in. Targets are approaching. ANET. I think this one probably has a little bit more room on it if it could carry. I got targets up to 106.96. I've got from yesterday at least everything bullish on every time frame as well. It is a retest gap. Let's put this one a little bit higher. See if we get any pullbacks or indications. But that looks good. Really good gap. Plenty of room to run. You got about $3-ish to the higher side. A full-on retest of yesterday's VPOC would give us like 103.17. Not sure that we make it all the way back down there, but yeah, we're above all previous spots. And again, my first target is 106.96. That does give us $3. Target after that, probably would run us into 108.27, and then a crazy day would take us up to 109.84. So ANAT does have some room on it. I kind of like it. We got TSM. TSM. We got a sell on every time frame on TSM. However, gap and go today. That sell obviously coming with us closing through some decent VPOCs to the downside. We might be trapping some bulls on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if we get that hourly to change over. Um, Target on this one probably takes us to 233.02. If we get a pullback, I don't think I want to be the one chasing this one. Even though it's a gap and go, you are going to be trapping some bears. I don't think too many. You're still pretty high up on the chart. If you get that pullback into 229.31, I think the people who are getting trapped, that will be the opportunity to get out, and I think that should provide a pretty good support zone if we get there. Let's see, yeah, about 229.50 to 229.31 in that zone somewhere. I think you got your targets to 233.39 is our first target, and then if we have a really good day on TSM, 260, 260, 236.35 on that one. Let's put that one a little bit higher. Gap and go. I think we were definitely trapping some people on this one, but let's see if we get a little tiny pullback. I'm not expecting too much. TSM coin. Coin. Again, Bitcoin looks good. If we could go a tad higher. Coinbase, yeah, we got a lot of room on it. We had a nice, so even though this is a red candle yesterday, we opened higher after 1, 2, 3 days. All we essentially did was come back. We are starting to build a pretty decent little support somewhere in this range. And essentially all we did was just kind of retest. People took some gains. Makes sense. Wouldn't be surprised if they reloaded a little bit higher or a little bit lower on this one. But now you are getting it is gap and go for today. Still inside day candle. If we could get a small, tiny little pullback, good spot to try. I think would be 356. What I like on this one a lot, besides some psychological levels, we'll go through that in a second. But real target still takes us back to 374.89. I don't know if we do that today. Maybe if Bitcoin starts breaking out of that resistance, that's possible. Otherwise, psychological levels, you got 362.75, and then the next kind of big spot, 369.27. But I think it's got room to run. We've built in a nice little support. You don't really have much in the way of stopping you. Let's push this one higher as well. Looks good. Finding some solid ones today, Jeff. But then again, you always find some solid ones. You always do. Always pull through. If you weren't here, I'd have nothing to talk about. We got Boeing is Jeff says, man, I wish. Boeing flying. That's a headline you don't hear too much, but you have buys on every category. Yeah, a nice little breakout. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. We've that fourth day being bullish. We did manage to get above this 218.29. That's a big deal. We came back, we retested, they closed still right above that 218 zone. And high wave candle, I'll take it. I think that one looks pretty good still. You have every single time frame on your side on that one as well. Let's see. I don't know where the next target will be. I don't have that much volume to really hold us back. Bigger spot, probably somewhere around the 226.70 zone, would be the next spot I would consider. Otherwise, you don't have too much to really hold you back at this point. It looks like we're trying to continue the trend. Boeing looks pretty strong today. Let's see. GE. GE, let's just try that one without that little slash at the end. Let's give that a whirl. GE Aerospace. Again, 60 minute I got to sell, but this is a gap up. We might get a change. We might get a flip on that one. It is again a gap and go. Yesterday was more of a we've been I don't think I'm really too concerned with even yesterday's candle or the prior 2 days. Both of those are back inside this July 2nd candle. So I'm a little more impressed that we're taking that out and then not crazy volume, which is kind of weird because that is a pretty big sell-off candle. This one does look good. I don't think we get a full-on retest on this one, so I don't think I'd be looking for full-on retest would take us like 247.93. I don't think we get there. I think a small pullback, the fact that we are starting to get above the VPOX with this big red candle, I think is a little more impressive to me. So pull back to like 249.59. You are going to have some resistance on this one on the way up. So trying to get in as low as possible would make some sense. I think your next target on this one, if we don't do anything too crazy, would be 251.84. I don't think that's going to be enough to get me a good trade, but if I think we can get out of there, the next spot, 252.42, I like that a little bit better. And then a really good day would take us up to like 256.04. So a little concerned about the ranges on GE, but typically, besides like random decent sized candles, it doesn't really move too much. As a swing trade, it looks pretty good, and that was a new higher high, higher low as well. So I think that bullish trend still continues on this one. Prefer to be bullish than bearish. Small little pullback, and then just matter of how we can set this one up to get a good, I think, risk reward on that trade. Microsoft, I did look at this morning. That was at the time I was looking, having a nice little gap. Still is. Again, so if you're gonna look at the gap and goes, technically this is one from yesterday's candle. However, those two really inside of this bullish candle. This was a pretty phenomenal close. We've just been resting for 2 days. I'm not sure how much the rest is going to wake up and just run this thing out of the gate. I would look for the retest at the top of this candle somewhere. So somewhere around 498.97 for a pullback. And I think that would set us up pretty good for entries. Otherwise, it is full gap. If this thing just opens and runs, I get it too. But I'd probably be looking for some kind of a give me like at least a 499 print. I think we get to like 498.84. That would be your spot. Microsoft looks ready to take off again and just continue that trend. I've already got that one pretty high. Let me just see the time frames. Only the last thing I have is 15-minute is sell. That is going to flip at open as well, and then we'll be sitting all green on every time frame as well. Tessie, struggle bus Tessie. Doing just nothing really. We have a good double bottom if this thing could hold. It might take some time for this to really do anything, but we might have some more consolidation first and then go. We have a little bit of a gap up, so slightly higher value than at the close of yesterday. Other than that, it looks like yesterday we tried to get through that 200. We got through 299.99. Could not hold it though. So at this point, we've also retested this 301.89. If we could break out of yesterday's VPOC somewhere around this 301.21, that might set us up. We have plenty of room up here if we could get through it. 314.54 would be my next target. However, we're gonna have that 200 in the way, kind of choppy. Support is still all the way down, which this one has not been retested. 292.65. And I don't think we've really flipped the Tessie narrative yet from from Elon's political career. So we're still hanging out. I don't know. I think there's probably better trades for today. It looks like bulls are trying, but then again, your 300 zone is going to be questionable, and then you get your 301.08 zone. So until you really get past that, I think that gives you more room to kind of play Tessie. Baba, B-A-B-A. We did try that one yesterday, but we were going against the grain. We had two sells on the 60 and the 50. So far, those two sells with this current gap down is still holding, and we managed to get out for break even. So good stop placement. We tried it. It was a good gap and go from yesterday. We just really couldn't hold anything, and it's still showing some weakness. So to the downside, your next support. Let's see how this one wants to hold, but 105.35. You're getting a little bit close to it. If you start to break this, I'd say 105.31 zone, then you have a lot more room. Continuation to the downside probably takes you back under $100. Otherwise, let's see how we act around this 105.31. We get some kind of a bouncing, but you have technically a retest gap from yesterday. However, that's That was a gap and go from the day before, just didn't really hold. I don't think there's any love coming into Baba. No strong love at least. So I think I like it to the short side still, but just be careful of that one little support on that one. Airbnb. Airbnb. Uh Interesting. You're about to approach a very, very sticky level. That level right there, and then you have one more spot that we could get held up at. So watch for like 138.34 and then watch for 139.50. If the SPY wants to move today, probably this would be good. Um, I think what happens on this one, Lou, slightly longer term picture than just day trade sense. You've had a nice run. Obviously, you got a really good hammer here. I wouldn't be shocked, and it's a decent open. It's still gap and go. We are getting above some decent VPOCs, but I think we get somewhere up in this range. I wouldn't be shocked, and then you get this slight pullback. You still have all these moving averages a little bit tangled up. They got to straighten out. Wouldn't be shocked if we get some kind of like higher low in this one, and then if this thing wants to go, fantastic. Good news for Airbnb. Right now, we are still making those higher highs, still making those higher lows, so that's decent. Maybe we just powerhouse right through this thing, but. I would be prepared at least mentally if you're in this thing. See if you get that little bit of a pullback, maybe come into the 618 and then somewhere around this zone if you get the retest, probably better, probably more strength to maybe break through that next kind of resistance built up. Tesla, we already looked at Tessie, and it looks a little sideways, choppish. Wait till above 301 on Tessie, and then it just opens up. Not that you can't make money, so don't get me. Let's actually go back to Tessie since. And if you guys have other tickers, let me see. We do have a couple too. Okay, but yeah, on Tesla, just since I've been getting asked again about it, you can absolutely make money in this zone. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying you can make a lot more and have clearer paths once you start passing this 301 zone. And really, the solid number is 302.18. But I think if we get past yesterday's VPOC, I think we can get through that. We've done it once, and that starts to free us up where we have nothing in the way. Here's a little bit more chop, a little bit more likely you're gonna get stopped before the move. But I'm not saying don't trade it. I would probably still have for now. Probably actually a little bit more neutral. We'll see what happens. No crazy edge today, but the fact we are still at yesterday's closing price, maybe we get some love in there. But I'd be leaning a little bit more neutral on it. I think you're gonna hit some chop zones until you start breaking out. Then you have a lot more room to run, and I think you get the better trades in that case. SoFi just been an absolute powerhouse. I missed Starbucks too. We'll do that one next. SoFi just going crazy. Another little bit of a gap up, still inside yesterday's candle. I think I probably wouldn't touch this thing until $19.96, most likely. I think inside gap. It's already been bullish, already had a good run. Getting another gap up here. Probably somebody might want to take some gains, and if you could get it for a day trade purpose, you're a little late on thing on the swing. But day trade purpose, anywhere close to this 1999, 1998, something like that. Uh, Probably set you up with a better risk reward, but still looking good. Still looks like it wants to go higher from here. A little bit of a blow off top, but again, not really too concerned yet until this candle breaks down and your first warning sign. If we can't really hold 1996, we start breaking that down, then you have psychological level could hold us. Bulls going to try at 1980. Anything past 1980, I think maybe you start to take out some of this volume and probably at least pull back to 1860. But for now, kind of just chilling. All right, let's take a look at Starbucks for Chris. There's a gap I didn't think was going to be on my chart. Very interesting. People are liking Starbucks. They hated Starbucks down here. They weren't loving it. Nobody was loving Starbucks. They were going out of business at that point, I think. But now, the recovery. Uh, Lots and lots of resistance that we're about to pile into. So somewhere up in the zone, we might come a little bit higher. It's true. But you do have a retest gap here. Even those three candles were all inside of this one big green candle. I don't think. I think if I'm looking for the market to, unless if the SPY keeps going, I don't know. Maybe I'm probably not going to take any shorts. But if the SPY Seems like it wants to pull back. I think this might be a candidate for the retest. I just wouldn't do it quite yet, but I think I'd like my chances better as a retest. Let these people who did pile in lower take some gains into that resistance, and then look for that buy longer term. But looks pretty decent. Looks like I think eventually we clear through this, and we're probably back at some of those higher levels at some point. But for now, that's a really good gap. Just I think maybe you get some profit taking coming in. DAL idea as well. Retest off of the resistance. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Uh, Dell doesn't look bad. Boeing looks a little bit better if you must be in the aerospace industry. But decent gap and go. You're still kind of inside the last three candles, so nothing too crazy. Anytime we've got to these previous levels, the more we hit these levels, the more likely eventually one of these breaks. But you got 5170 as being a pretty hard limit for Delta Airlines. Still inside day. I think if you're going to try to take this one, we are above the 200, which is a nice sign. I think if you're going to wait for set an alert for like $50.87. That would get you better opportunities. Um, you did have a lot of volume on this high wave-ish candle, and you were above that VPOC, so I would rather be bullish and bearish for today if you get that pullback first. I think that's the better way to go. You have buys on every category. I don't think that really probably changes considering we got the gap up at open. MU. Oh no, we're running out of time. We got MU. Also opening into a little resistance. If we could clear, and it still looks pretty strong, but if we could clear this candle with that volume, we're opening right below it or at it right now. So anything above 124.82, I like a lot. Look for a little chop at the out of the gate. Look for 124.47 to be your first support. If you start to break, be patient. See if you get closer to 122.82. But that's a tough level to break. If the Bulls could do it, and that was a pretty good gap and go yesterday. If Bulls get above it, you at least have, I think, room to 126.73. But then I also think you're in a little bit of another push, and we probably see a new higher high if we go a couple more pennies from where we're at now. We got Mara. Mara had a pretty fantastic day. They finally bought back my calls. I don't know why I can't spell things today. My puts this holds. They finally bought those back yesterday. But yeah, pretty good day. Nice little gap up on this one. Again, Coinbase also looked pretty fantastic. You do have some resistance, somewhere around 1832. That's still a decent amount of room for $18 stock. See if this one wants to drop back down to 1774. And that is the morning bell. So everybody in YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe buttons if you have not done so already.